about today. I want to talk with you guys, ladies and gentlemen, about cash flow. And I want to focus in on 5 areas that I love to work with my clients on, plus 2 others that I mentioned in the brief introduction that is on your website that I don't want people to lose focus on, especially at this time of year. Here at the start of the year, there's tons of possibility. Everything is an option, and we want to make sure that we keep the main thing the main thing. So I'm going to talk here for probably, looking here at the clock, I'll say about 35 minutes, 40 minutes. If you have questions, here's what I would ask. My ability to focus on the chat and do this is really diminished. So keep your questions, either write them down for yourself, and then I'll open it up and we'll do questions at the end so that everyone is completely served as well. And if anything does pop into the chat, I know between Deanna and Elizabeth, you guys will be able to bring up anything that I might miss as well, if that's more convenient for people. So we're going to talk about the 5 factors that I work with my clients on, plus 2 bonus things that I want all business owners to be focusing on to measure and increase their revenue and profit this coming year. So I love to start by asking people, small business owners who I'm meeting with, how many of you feel like you have found your absolute life's purpose in what you're doing, or you're close to it, right? And so in pre-COVID times, this would be a room full of people, and we would be having a breakfast or a luncheon, and between the clanking of forks, people would be raising their hands and laughing, and some people would be scowling and going, no, I don't think it's a purpose, it's just what I do. And, so somewhere in between, right? But what I know is that passion is the thing that drives small business owners. We do really feel that this is more than just a business. For many of us, that's a calling. And then I love to ask, do you love what you do so much that you'd actually do it for free? And this is a really common heck yeah response for people. That, yeah, I would do it for free. I love it so much that it doesn't feel like work. And then, of course, the final question, which is the obvious one, how many of you feel that some days you are doing it for free? And for many small business owners, unfortunately, that is the case, right? So you work really hard, revenue comes in, but you look at the bottom line number at the end of the month and you're like, but where did it go? Or you may have more month than money, right? So you're on the 20th or the 25th of the month and you're thinking, egads, I don't know how I'm supposed to make payroll, purchase additional supplies, pay myself, whatever that is. So the question you want to ask yourself, though, is where can you find the money? So traditional business wisdom, big, broad brushstrokes I'm speaking in here, oftentimes comes to small business owners like this. If you want to make more money, you need to sell less or sell more and spend less. Right? So we've all heard that. Okay, if you want to make more, then you need to sell more and you need to cut your expenses. And while that, in its big, broad brushstrokedness, is accurate, it gets really defeating for small business owners, because selling more often means you have to address a scaling question. So how am I going to scale? If I'm a solo practitioner, service-based business owner, I only have so much capacity. So if I want to scale, what is my plan to scale? And oftentimes small business owners get stuck with that. If I'm a product-based business and I have 2 SKUs and my production facility doesn't allow me to do more than those 2 SKUs at so many units per week or per month, how am I going to scale beyond that? So we start bumping into that ceiling. And what I want to show you today is a few ways that you can look at this from a more curious place than just sell more. I'm going to actually show you how you can look at that a little differently. And then obviously in the profit, this is the piece that I want you to keep your eye on this year. We've all heard that person in our community talk about their really great multiple 6-figure small business. They keep going on and on and on about it. But the thing that they're not going on about is what's their profit. You don't hear many small business owners going, I'm crushing it, with a 40% profit margin. And I got 6 figures in the bank because I'm running a heck of a smart small business. What we talk about is the top number, because that's really exciting and sexy. But what we're not talking about is the bottom number, which is really the true benchmark for small business in terms of the health of the small business, and the longevity probability of that small business as well. So I want to talk about that with you today. And it really profit margin. So whether it's dollars or a percentage is really an indicator of how well you as the CEO of your company and your brand are doing at managing those expenses. Somebody is probably already thinking, wait a minute, Debbie, so what is a good profit margin? And I'm going to give you one of my really frustrating answers. It depends. Right? It depends on your business. It depends on your business model. It depends on the industry that you're in, right? We can find guides for your business, but if I'm talking to a naturopathic doctor with a brick and mortar business in downtown Seattle office space, right? Versus a naturopathic doctor with brick and mortar office space in small town Tennessee, we're going to have different costs of overhead, right? So we're going to have different fixed costs that we have to be looking at. So that's some of the example of what it depends mean. And then it depends can also vary by what stage of business you're in. Where are you in that growth curve of your business? And where are you reinvesting the money? So where do you find it? I'm glad you asked. Here's the bottom line. Running your business doesn't have to be as hard as you're making it. We oftentimes as business owners think that there is a shortcut because we see someone in our business sphere who is beating a really loud drum about how well they're doing. And we think, well, gosh, if I just did more of what Elizabeth did or more of what Christy did, I would get better results faster. Maybe, maybe not. What we don't know is all the steps that Elizabeth or Christy have been taking to get them where they're having this overnight success. And so I am in the conversation of small business. I am the tortoise. I'm just going to keep having you take consistent steps over time where we can measure and adjust, and you will get the results that you want. It's a combination of hard work and the right hard work done at the right time. So now just sit here and ask yourself, you're just finishing up your numbers for last year. You're either you, and I'm going to wink, wink and say, or your bookkeeper, because that's really what we want to be happening here, is taking a look at processing everything, getting your P&L done for you, and you're looking at that bottom line number. What is your net profit? And so what I want to ask you right now is, what would it be like if your profits grew by 20, 30, 50, or 100% or even more this year? And I know sometimes, especially coming off a year like many of us had, just emotionally, the heavy year that we had, from where we ended, it feels perhaps like a really daunting task. Like, yeah, right, Deb, sure, 100% greater profit. You got to be kidding me. 20% greater profit? No way. Like, it's just not going to happen. And I'm here to tell you there is a way to do it. And it doesn't involve magic math. It just is a different way of looking at your business and getting a lot more clear about what you're doing to run it successfully. So what I want to share with you is how you can have more money in the bank, how you can have less stress, hoorah, and how you can have a whole lot more fun doing what you do. And that, my friends, is what small business is about. And I'm not talking about Tim Ferriss and the 4-hour work week. I'm just talking about consistent execution over time to get the results that you want and to have a lot more fun doing it. So this is a little bit about me. Now that I've kind of teed that up, I am a business coach. I work specifically with female business owners around the world. I focus in on the areas of cash flow and profitability. This is my senior citizen companion and best friend, Mr. Harley Hounderton, who is now 14 years old, sweet old boy, and the doggy love of my life. I have been business coaching now for 10 years, and my journey to become a business coach was not because of multiple failed business attempts that then led me to the place to tell other people what not to do. My journey to business coaching started, take a breath, people, 25 years ago when I started as an entrepreneur. I didn't intend to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know the first thing about entrepreneurship. I just got a really great opportunity and somebody who trained me through the lens of small business as an entrepreneur. something I will be forever grateful for. During that time, I was able to acquire a business. It was a financial services company. It was a brokerage. I had the top floor of this very old, now considered chic and trendy loft building in downtown Seattle, right at the edge, in a part of the community that was pretty sketch. But it had a great view. Yeah, Elizabeth, you know this area of town. It wasn't the kind of place you wanted to walk around at night by yourself. But I loved it. And I grew this business with my team. I had 18 salespeople, 3 office administrators. We were making a lot of money, but there wasn't a lot of profit, right? And so, like many of you, I share this because I started the business not knowing how to run my business. I started my business because there was an opportunity. I jumped in, and I thought that the skill of being the good financial advisor would somehow translate to being a good business owner. And that's where I recognized I needed some more training. So I hired a coach. During that time of hiring the coach, I recognized that I was struggling. We were making multiple 7 figures, but the profit was a really crappy number. I wasn't pleased with it. I was burnt out. I was exhausted. I wasn't a happy human being. And I had to ask myself, could there be a different way? And so I, at that time, was working with my coach. And this is where we dug into the process that I'm going to share with you. And when I dug into it and I really worked in 6 months, in the first 6 months of actually executing on it, the business profits doubled. And that was significant for us because of the volume of work that we did. And it just continued to grow from there. And I'm sharing this because it can happen for you too. Among the things that I am is I am consistent and a steady Eddie. And I know that you can do this as well. These are some of my clients who've gone through this process as well. Molly Mahoney is an online marketer, Facebook expert. When I first met her, she was teaching starving actors how to become online trainers, a business model that was flawed on many levels. And as we went through the process, we recognized that that really wasn't her calling. She pivoted her business. And she, as she says here, she took the business past 6 figures. And now with her business model as it is, she actually makes 6 figures a month, what she was making in a year. And that's pretty impressive. And she's a hoot. So if you are on Facebook, find Molly Mahoney, the prepared performer. She's pretty fun. As another client of mine, Karen Lynn Marr, she does book writing. She coaches you to write your book and use your thought leadership and get it into print. When she'd been in business for a long time, when she came to me, same thing. I feel like I have no money to show for how hard I'm working. There were a few things that we needed to adjust in her business. And in the year we worked together, she increased her gross revenue by 60% and her net income or profit by 48%. And she was super happy about that. So here's what I want you to know. Get out your notebook. You don't really need a calculator. I'm going to walk you through the math. And I'm also going to tell you that there is a workbook that I will give to you if you're interested. And I'll tell you here in a little bit. Also, if you want the slides, I can send those to you as well, because I know I've got some people who are like, hey, I want this. So I'll tell you how you can do that. So write your notes and just know you have access to all this when we're done. I want to talk about the +2 part before I get into the 5 things. When it comes to cash flow in your business, one of the things that is really quote unquote easy to look at immediately, especially if you're a product-based business or on the brick and mortar side, is your receivables and your payables. How the money is coming into your business and how the money is going out. By taking a look at when you get paid by your clients' customers, and then on the other side, when that money is going out, you will start to see these disparities. You will see when you have bills due, but not enough money to pay those bills. And that's really where a lot of that tension comes in. So when I was here last year and shared with you guys this idea, one of the first things that I was suggesting to small business last year was make this list of when your money comes in, when your money is going out, look at what the dates are, and see where you can make adjustments. On the payable side of things, you can talk to your suppliers, you can talk to your vendors, and you can say, hey, can we move my due date on this bill so that it just eases my cash flow a little bit? And you will know if you're running into this problem because you're consistently paying this bill late. 3 days late, 5 days late, 10 days late, because you're waiting for the money to come in on the other side. So talk to your people and really take a look at that. The same thing on the receivable side. If you're noticing that your money is coming in at certain periods, first and third week of the month, second and fourth week of the month, um, and that some of your receivables are outstanding because your people are having a payroll problem on their side too, feel free to reach out to them and say, hey, I was just doing an audit. It's a great time of year. It's the beginning. And I was noticing that your payments are consistently coming in. We have them due on the 1st, but they're coming in about the 10th, right? So this is a manage the expectation thing. Do we need to adjust that for you so that we can get this taken care of on time? Now, it may not change the date where you're ultimately getting the money, but it will change the anxiety that you're feeling when the money is coming in. And some people will actually prefer to go earlier. I'll have clients who will say, gosh, because of when they set up their automatic payment, like maybe it's coming out on the 7th of the month and it's a really cruddy time for them to come out, for it to come out for them. And so they'll just ask, hey, can we back this up a little bit so that it's more convenient for me? I want you all to get really comfortable with talking about money like it's no big thing. Money conversations should never be weird. You should never feel guilty about asking for or less than. You should never feel less than either when it comes to asking for some concession, when it comes to how your receivables are coming in or how your payables are going out. So that's the first thing. Always know that the answer will always be no if you don't ask. And so the only way you're going to find out is if there's any room is if you ask. And I promise you, somewhere in all your payables, there's someone who's willing to work with you. I've even seen clients who've reached out and for a cash flow purpose, it was easier for them to go from monthly payments to weekly. So they had a consistent bill, that needed to go out, and it was super stressful for them to have it based upon how cash flow was coming in at the time when we started working together. So I want to bring that stress down. We reach out, can we just take care of this weekly instead? Not a problem, right? So that's one of the first ways that you can impact cash flow. The second thing you can do, right, Elizabeth, your ears have perked up, is I want to talk about the consistency of marketing. This roller coaster is an example of how a small business marketing looks for most people who don't work with Elizabeth Case, I'm just saying. But honestly, you guys, marketing for most small business, when I start working with people, is fits of stops and starts, ups and downs. I'm good for a while until I get busy, and then I get busy and I can't do it. So I stop doing it. And then I don't have business coming in. So then I panic and I start up the other side of that roller coaster again. And I push until business starts coming in. And then it comes in so fast and then I stop again. And it is exhausting. Like, it's exhausting, right? So from a cash flow perspective, one of the things that I say over and over to clients is what gets us busy keeps us busy. Right? So that's just, you tattoo that on your forehead or wherever it works for you. What gets you busy keeps you busy. Now, in non-COVID time, we would be doing networking events, right? So you probably had your handful of 3 or 4 in-person networking events you went to. You went to the chamber events consistently. You went to another small business group, maybe industry specific. And these were your steady Eddie. You showed up, you were consistent. Even when business got busy, while you might not go every month to every one, you might get into a rhythm of going every other month to every one and stacking them up. Because if your community is like my community, we run into a lot of the same people when we go even to different things. And so it's about keeping the presence. I'll say to you about your marketing, how many people would come to a marketing expert like Elizabeth and say, I want to do a weekly newsletter, and they have never done a newsletter. Or if they have, they've never done it consistently. And Elizabeth is going to say, and I'm going to say as their coach, that's a really bad idea. And here's why it's a really bad idea, because you're not going to do it. And you're going to get discouraged, and you're going to get frustrated. And then you're going to say the words that are like nails on a chalkboard. It just doesn't work. Newsletters don't work. This marketing stuff doesn't work. My speaking doesn't work. Social media doesn't work. Whatever it is doesn't work. And the reason it's not working is because, first off, it's probably not consistent. I always start there. And the second is there likely isn't a plan. You took the shotgun approach to it. So when it comes to your marketing, have a plan. Break it down so that it's snack sized. Right? Grow into a weekly newsletter. Right? If that's what you want to do and you can actually churn out that kind of content, rock on crouton. I want to see you do that. But what I'd rather see you do is say, I'm going to practice this skill for the first 6 months of the year, and I'm going to do a monthly newsletter. That's what I'm going to commit to. And then see how that grows, right? So consistency in marketing is one of the top drivers to your cash flow. If a client comes to me and says, oh my God, my cash flow is all over the place, one of the first things that I'm going to talk to them about is tell me what your marketing plan is. And usually that's deer in headlight is first look. And then my second question is, what do you do consistently for marketing initiatives? And I always listen for this word, try. Well, I try this and I try that. I'm like, but what have you done consistently? And what units have you used to measure your success? How do you know what you're doing is actually getting you the objective that you want? And this goes back to the marketing plan. What's your plan? So right out of the gate, 2 easy things you can do is negotiate any of the payables that you have in your business for cash flow and take a look at what you're doing consistently for marketing. If you can't look at your marketing task list and 100% be honest with yourself and say that you're doing it consistently, I guarantee you there are thousands of dollars that are ready to be realized if you're ready to execute. So those are my 2 bonus ones. Now I want to dive into the bigger topic. When I said at the beginning that most small business advice is based upon sell more, spend less, that is included in what I'm about to share with you. But what I want to show you is how you can sell more. And it is much more straightforward than what you might first think. So these are the 5 things that every small business owner, everyone, and I don't speak in absolutes often, but when I do, it will be related to this. Every small business owner must be tracking leads, conversion rate, average dollar sale, average transactions per customer over a period of time. We're going to use annual in this case. And then your profit as expressed in dollars or profit margin as expressed as a percentage, if that's what you prefer to do. Most people track both. For clarification, let me describe a lead because there's confusion on this. A prospect is somebody who fits a profile who could be your ideal client. A lead is what happens when the prospect takes some action to raise their hand and say, hey, I'd actually like to talk to you about what you do and learn more because I think I need your services, or I think I need your products. So they have somehow brought themselves to the front door of your business and said, I think I need what's inside. If you're a service-based business, they probably come in through the internet, or they have come as the direct referral from another satisfied client or business buddy. So somebody else has been talking you up. Again, this goes back to your marketing. If you're doing your marketing right, you are empowering a group of champions who are constantly listening for colleagues and business buddies of theirs who have a problem that you solve. So leads are qualified. Leads are not all the people at a chamber event. Those are lovely people, but they're not all your ideal client. Okay, so lead is somebody who has raised their hand. So that's my distinguishing factor. Conversion rate, this is of the people who came to your door, virtual or in person, if you're brick and mortar, and got out their checkbook. They paid, they bought something from you. They made an investment in themselves or their business, right? That is the number of people who raised their hand, who came in the door, who got out their wallet, right? That's our conversion rate as expressed in numbers or percentages, right? So, and most businesses will track both. Average dollar sale. How much money do your people spend with you when they make a purchase? I track it on an annual basis. So I know that over the course of a year, what the average investment is that a client will make with me. If you are a product-based business, you have a POS system that should be able to, with a couple of handy clicks of a button, tell you what the average sale is that your people are making with you. And in particular, if you have a loyalty program, you can track this by individual customers. One of my favorite things to do. I know with my clients who sell products, the business that was really all about distribution into retail that went completely online, we now have data that tells us who are their top online customers. We know how much they spend. We can look at windows of time, seasonality, and we can break this down, and this all comes back to marketing, right? Because then this gives you information that you can use to create really targeted marketing to your people. So what is the average dollar sale when people buy from you? The other thing that you want to track, the fourth thing, is the average number of transactions per customer. So how many times a year do your people buy from you? You know, are they one and done? Do they buy once a year? Do they buy twice a year? Again, if you're retail, if you are a product-based business, your point of sale system, most importantly, a loyalty program, is going to be able to help you drill down into this. If you're a service-based business like myself, this is a lot easier for me to see than without the investment in a POS system or loyalty program. But all those things are available as well. And then finally, the profit, which is the hard dollar number on the bottom line of your profit and loss statement, or the profit margin, which is the percentage as expressed between top sales and the bottom profit number. These are the 5 things, all right? Moving on. So went through this. There's my explanation of leads again, number of people who contacted you, conversion rate, the percentage of people who make a purchase. I know I saw the thought bubble. Somebody wants to know what's a good conversion rate, and guess what my answer is going to be? It depends, right? Exactly. It depends. It depends on your industry. It depends on the price of the product that you're selling. It depends on whether they were the right people who came to the door and raised their hand. Like, somebody might have a quote unquote low conversion rate because their marketing message is off. So they're attracting the wrong people who aren't the right buyer. Others might have a low conversion rate because the business owner has a big gate on who they're going to let through, the price of their product. A woman I was talking to yesterday, the businesses that she works with, it's $100,000 a year investment for those business owners to come and work with her. Her gate is tall. She has many layers they have to pass through before they get to that meeting. So her conversion rate, if you looked at it, you know, across the board, would be small compared to others. However, by the time she converts, they stick, right? She knows the stickiness of her process, and that's what she's had work well for her. Average dollar sale, again, like I said, the average dollar amount that somebody spends with you, and then the average number of transactions per customer, and this is the number of purchases they will make with you. I like to use over the course of a year. We can do lifetime value. There's lots of different ways, but for this case, we're going to say the year. And then the net profit margin is the percentage of each and every sale after your expenses. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick case study here. So stay with me. Remember, slides can all be yours. This is being recorded. You can go and listen to me talk very rapidly again. This is not meant to be something that, oh, hey, you know, like I got it. Go back and watch this again. There is gold in what I'm sharing with you. And I promise you, you will get results if you execute on what I'm sharing. So again, leads, conversion, average dollar sale, transactions per customer, net profit margin. Those are the 5 factors that you should be measuring in your business. So I want you to meet Beth. Beth is my ideal client avatar. This is not a real human. This is a stock photo. But Beth, this woman represents my ideal client. And every decision that I make in my business is targeted to Beth. The case study I'm about to give you is based upon a real client. though her name is not really Beth, but we will go with it for now. So uh, Beth came to me, and I'll give you her numbers in a second. Beth came to me because she was really stuck in this scaling problem. She wanted to figure out how she could bring in more revenue, but she felt like she was really at capacity. Every time she turned around, it got really overwhelming. And I talked with her about just making some small incremental changes consistently over the course of a year. And if she was willing to do that, I was willing to take her on, and I promised that she would get great results. And I had walked the math with her. We had a range that we were looking at, and you're about to see Beth's real numbers. So service-based business, she sells information products and online training in a super narrow niche, right? Super narrow. This is another marketing tip. Broad is broke. If you are trying to sell to everybody, you are selling to nobody. It is a lot easier to get super specific and let people come to you and self-select in. It's also a lot easier for your business buddies to refer to you. All right, so when we did an analysis of Beth's business, she was averaging 4,000 leads a year, which meant that in her online world, she had 4,000 inquiries per year into her products. Her conversion was 25%. So averaging on an annual basis, she was bringing in 1,000 new customers a year. She averaged $100 per transaction. They bought from her twice a year because of how she marketed. And her profit margin was 25%. Okay, that looks pretty good. Maybe. And maybe to some of you, you're like, ugh, those are horrible numbers. So now let's break it down into real deal. Beth was doing $200,000 in sales, and she had a net profit of $50,000. It's pretty good. Like, those are nice numbers to look at. What we did, though, was we focused in on the space between the top and the bottom to help improve both the top and the bottom numbers for Beth. A lot of math here. Stay with me. Don't panic yet. Okay. Again, go back and watch this. Remember, the slides are yours, and there's a little workbook you can have. When I talked to Beth, I asked her, I said, what makes it so daunting? And she said, I don't see how I can double my revenue, double my profit without doubling my sales. And I said, that's a fair point. I said, because we're talking about, in order to double your sales, in theory, what you're looking at is going from 4,000 leads to 8,000 leads. And you are busting your tail to get the 4,000 that you have. So how about if we do this? How about if we just do some really basic math? And let me show you what could happen. What if we focus on just a 10% increase in leads? That's just 400 people. And if you're bringing in 4,000, 400 more doesn't seem so scary as 8,000. Beth said, yeah, I think I can do that. And I said, your conversion is 25%. And what if we bump that up by 10%? It's 2.5%. We can't convert half a person, but just stay with me because this is math, right? So basically, we're going to take her from 25% to 27.5% conversion. Yeah, that's kind of easy. Like, it just seems that could naturally flow. Yep. We'll tighten up a couple things, but we'll be good. 4,400. So again, the number of leads is what she has multiplied by this 27.5% conversion meant that her 1,000 customers that she had the previous year was now going to go up to 1,210. So just an increase of $210. At this point, I'm going to tell you, Beth was pretty underwhelmed. She's like, really? 200 people. I'm making this investment with you as a coach, and you're going to tell me 200 people are going to get me here. I'm like, yeah, just stay with me. I felt Beth's pricing was way off for what she offered. Elizabeth is nodding enthusiastically. What I know as a coach, though, is that there are sacred cows, and pricing is really hard for people. And if I said to Beth, the real thing we need to do is bump up your price from $100 per purchase to closer to $200, maybe even $250, Beth would have shut down. Beth would have not complied. She would have fought this whole process tooth and nail. So I proposed just a tiny incremental, let's get a mini win. right? Let's get one of these micro wins. Let's just bump the price by 10%. You've been charging $100 for this thing for the last few years. You're losing money, but let's just start easy. What we know is that when we get a little win, it becomes easier to make that decision the next time out too. So she bumps her price up by 10%. Her product that was $100 is now $110. And again, following the same formula, people bought on average twice a year. We just used 10% again, 0.2, it can't buy 0.2 of anything, but again, follow the math of this. And we use 2.2 as the goal objective for transactions a year, just moving people up because we knew there was more that they would buy. Okay, so here goes. New numbers, 1210 in customers, 110 in average sale, 2.2 purchases a year meant that Beth's revenue came out the year that we worked together at $292,820. Prior to working with me, it was $200,000. If I had said to Beth, if I had picked one thing to try and get this $92,000 increase for Beth, it would have not worked. It was going to be too big of a lift for her. But by focusing on incremental things, and here's what I'm going to say to you all, do not do all these at once. Pick one thing. Pick one thing and focus on it for the next quarter. And then the next quarter, so maybe you're going to focus on increasing by 10% your leads through Q1. And then going into Q2, you're going to bump up your average price. You're going to do a little price bump. And then in Q3, you're going to have an opportunity through retargeting, through maybe offering a new product to an existing business owner, somebody who already loves you, a chance to come back and buy from you, right? Don't do it all at once. Some of you are going to try, but I'm just going to say, don't. Do it slowly. Prior years, she had 1,000 customers, $100 average sale, 2 purchases a year, $200,000. That is a top line 46% revenue increase. Beth was pretty happy. Now, there's a lot of repeat that happens here because I'm trying to drill this into your head. This isn't complicated. In its simplicity, though, people will shut down and try and say, there's no way this can work. And it does time and time again. So again, just looking at the numbers, remember again, you can have access to these slides. 1,210 customers from 1,000, $292,000 in sales from 200,000. Increasing her net profit margin by getting tighter with her expenses, right? So we got inside her expenses and we looked at subscriptions that she didn't need to be paying for, right? Those things that are so insidious for all of us. We looked at some of her other variable expenses that just weren't being appropriately managed, right? And so we were able to increase her net profit margin. That year we worked together to $80,525. Previous year it was $50,000. That's a 61% increase in profit. Beth was also happy with this number. That was an additional $30,000, you guys. $30,000 in profit. Now, I also know, because I saw the thought bubble, somebody says, wait a minute, my profit number at the bottom of my P&L is not what shows in my bank account. Anybody ever have that problem? Pretty common. One of the things that I work with my clients a lot on, if you don't know about it, you should, or you can, I can't say should, you can, is a little program that was developed by this really goofy entrepreneur guy called Mike Michalowicz. If you're not familiar with Profit First, check it out. It's pretty heady to try and get into, but walking clients through this idea of using buckets of money and diverting their revenue and profit into different accounts is a game changer for how small businesses look at what the P&L says in correlation to actually how much money they have. Okay, so here's a free gift. If you want the slides and you want the workbook, and I am not going to hard press sell any single one of you for any reason, right? This is just my gift to you because it's a lot to consider. Send me an email, debbie@debbiepage.com. Put in the subject line slides and ebook, or slides, whatever you want. And by Friday, I will get this turned around and back out to you. And then you can have it and you can look at it again. Obviously, you'll have this back on the Chambers YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch this video again in conjunction with the slides. The ebook is great because you can put your own numbers in. And here's the other part. If you're not tracking these things right now, start now, right? If you don't have all this data sitting at your fingertips, start now. Go back through January. Use that as your data set to start. If you can do January, you can probably do December, and maybe you can even do November, and then you have 3 months, which is technically a quarter, and now you have some information to work with. And once you start the habit of tracking this, you're going to find that it's quite addictive, and you're going to want to know this information over and over again. So again, leads, conversions, repeat business, increased customer spend, and increasing the profit or profit margin are the 5 things that you can be tracking in your business at any given time to get greater results. The way you're going to change your world as a small business owner is by having money. Money is the thing that allows you to do everything. And whether that's reinvesting in your business or reinvesting in your community or reinvesting in the world, wherever you want to put your dollars, when your business makes more money, shows a healthier profit, it allows you to do more in the world for the people you are meant to serve. Additionally, it also creates a really healthy business when the day comes and you're ready to sell. So you are a for-profit company. You know, it's important that you have these kinds of healthy numbers. This is my final success story, and then we'll open up for questions. I worked a couple of years ago with a client who was 15 years as a service-based business owner, and she came to me specifically because she wanted to keep more of the money that she made. In 2018, her top line revenue was just over $500,000, which was lovely for her business. Her gross margin after COGS and those other little dealios that come up to bite some small businesses was about $222,000, and the net margin was $47,000 or 9%. And she said to me, "Is this good?" And I said to her, "It depends, right? I don't know if this is good or not, and we have to figure it out." It seemed to me that something wasn't quite right, but it took a couple months of really getting into her business and figuring it out. So this is 2018, and then we started working together at the beginning of 2019, right off the top, actually. Her objective was not to grow the business. She didn't want to grow any bigger. What she wanted to do was become more efficient, work less, have more fun, and be more streamlined and put more money in her pocket. So the year we worked together, she actually sold less than services. She got really clear back to ideal client profile stuff that one of the leaky holes we identified was she was doing business with the wrong kinds of clients. So they were sucking revenue and profit. She wasn't bidding them the project correctly, and so she was losing money. So in 2019, she sold 475 as opposed to 528 the previous year. Her gross profit, though, went up. So she grossed 222 in 2018, and in 2019 she grossed 250,000 with less sales. Net profit, so bottom line, went up to 101,000 from 47,000. Her margins changed from 42 to 53, and then 9 to 21. At the end of the year of us working together, she had an initial almost $54,000 that she had in profit because of our work together. This can happen in every business. And I guarantee you, whether it's $10,000 or $100,000, you all have a formula that can clean things up if you take the time and make the time to look at this. So with that being said, we have 10 minutes for questions. How can I help you today?
Any questions for Debbie? My gosh, this was so much great information. But yeah, let's take advantage of her expertise, folks.
That was great, Debbie. And you are my business coach and have been for years. And as you were talking about leads, I was realizing I have not been properly tracking them so far in 2021. So I started making my list so that when we have our coaching call next week, I actually have it together.
Yay!
But it's a great way to start, like tracking your leads now of all those conversations. And that's been one of the fascinating things of working with you is where do people come from and when do you have that first conversation and when does it actually convert into business, which is an interesting, because some it's right away and others it's 2 years later. So.
And one of the things, again, that you know, Elizabeth, and you teach all of us is that, you know, some people may not be ready right now, but once we've had that connection, if we have a way of staying in touch with them, even if it's 2 years later, you know, in your case, you know, you are my newsletter person. Like you keep us accountable to make sure that our communication goes out consistently, because somebody who maybe you have a conversation with you in your service-based business, a discovery call, taste of success, whatever you call it, may be kind of, you know, at a place where they're interested in you, but they're not quite ready to make that investment. 90% of the time, it's not about you, it's about them. They're not confident that they can execute the way that they know you're going to hold them accountable to execute. So they're not quite there. But once they get into your follow-up system, your drip campaign, your e-newsletter, whatever your process is, when you do it consistently, you will start to see the trend. You know, Elizabeth, who your top refer people are, right? Mm-hmm. So much of your business comes because other people you've worked with rave about how awesome you are. And then they talk to other people, what I mentioned earlier, which is you train your clients up to know how to refer. Yeah. And then those people who come in are already primed. And that's the other thing that you'll notice is if you're really good with your marketing message, your referrals that are coming in are going to be really primed. They're going to have a sense of what the investment is going to be, which again goes back to why we don't make money a weird conversation. Let your people know what the rates are. Right? So if you're a service-based business and maybe you have a group of clients that you haven't raised rates on in a while, I think it's important to communicate that with them. Hey guys, just letting you know, this year you will see no increase in our service agreement from a price standpoint. Just as an FYI, if you have other people, this is a great soft way to ask for business. If you have other people in your world who you think would benefit and they're asking about our work together, this is the 2021 rate schedule. Right? So now they know, because if you've got somebody who's paying, say, $500 a month for your services and they've been with you a long time and you haven't progressively moved them up, and now your service package is $800 a month, and I say to Elizabeth, hey, I want to work with you. I hear you're $500 a month, and really her rate's $800 a month. I'm going to be like, oh, I don't know about that. I could budget 500, but now 800 is a little bit more. So teeing it up for yourself for success, for sure.
Yeah. Love that. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions, folks?
Yes, I have a question. Hi, my name's Natalie Edwards. I have a small baking business, and I'm not in a brick and mortar. I use a commercial kitchen. And so I got to looking at my website. I use Weebly and Square, and it showed that during the holidays that I was getting a lot of orders like Thursday evening and Saturday morning. And I was wondering, when you were talking about, you know, one of the things was increasing average dollar sale. I was wondering, how do I make that work? If I see when my sales are happening, how do I increase that average, you know, dollar sale off of that information?
Yeah, so we have done things. I'll give you an example. So my clients that I was referring to, who went actually not all, I'd say 80+% online last year, make honey. And so they have a line of honey that they sell as a family business. And one of the things that we've done is we knew that, you know, they have 5 products. Each variety has 3 SKUs. So there are 15 SKUs inside the base part of the business. And we knew what the top sellers were. And one of the things that we wanted to test was, how do we get them to buy more? Like if we know that their top seller is Summer Valley flour, medium jar SKU, how do we get them to try something else? So we tested a few things. And this is what I would say to you, Natalie, is test and maybe look at different ways that you can promote. So we knew that the average sale on the medium Summer Valley flour was $36 a jar. So we knew, let's say $36 a jar. What could we do to bump that up? Could we offer could we take that as a special to $30, which you're like, wait a minute, you just took $6 off, but hang on a second. And then offered a buy one of our best sellers at the medium jar and get the small of one of our special varieties, buckwheat or avocado, for $2 more, right? So what we've done is we blended in this cost increase and took the whole thing over between the two products by $2 more, if that kind of makes sense. So we took one product and then we bundled it together with a second and drove the price of the two things $2 more, again, knowing what the profit margin was. So sometimes it's about bundling things, Natalie. What can you sell or what can you create as maybe a seasonal option or variety, something in those lines as well can help. If you're shipping your products, we tested some things with shipping, spend a certain amount and get free shipping. So, again, knowing what the margin is on the product, we had to make sure that we had enough product bundled together to make the free shipping option worthwhile. So those are just a couple ideas off the top of my head.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thanks.
So here's my thing. One of the questions that comes up often when I talk about this is, where do I start? Because that's a lot. Those were a lot of words I used in 40 minutes. That's just a lot. I'm going to tell you, pick your thing. I don't care which one thing you start with, because this is an Achilles heel of small business owners. As we go to events like this, we hear great thought leadership, we get great ideas, we make a lot of notes, and then we don't execute on something. So my recommendation to you is going to be, carve out some time on your calendar in the next 5 days, go back and look at your notes, rewatch this again, and next week pick your one thing and focus on that one thing, how you're going to execute on it for the next 30 days. And really hold yourself accountable, or get a business buddy here in the chamber and say, look, this is my one thing, and I'm going to check in with you every week to let you know what I'm doing. And if I don't, you have full authority to kick me in the pants, business shame me, whatever it is that the agreement is between you. But the point is, get yourself an accountability buddy if you don't have one, and start working on this process now. It truly doesn't matter which one you start with. The most important thing is that you get started. Getting ready to get ready is the kiss of death for small business. And I don't want that for you. Last year was hard enough. Don't make this year any harder than it needs to be. So thank you.
Debbie, thank you so much for joining us here today. I want to thank our participants. What great information, and you're very generous in what you share with us. Really, truly appreciate that. I guess I have one last question for you. Are you accepting new clients?
I love it. Well, I am so glad you asked. I actually am. I am at a place where I do only work with a certain number of clients. I've had 2 clients here at the beginning of the year who graduated and rotated into my quarterly maintenance program. So at this point, I am in a position to welcome a new client at the 1st of March. So if anyone is interested in having a conversation, please reach out to me by email. No hard pressure sell, just a real good, curious conversation about your business and what's happening. And if it might be right for us to work together, we can talk about what that would look like. And if it's not, I'm a big fan of, here's what you can do as you are moving towards that, which I 100% recommend. And if you're on Facebook, this is another great resource. I have a free Facebook group called the Women's Business Profit Lab, where I do free coaching every Wednesday for 30 minutes. So if this resonated with you, this is the kind of meat that I provide, practical, tactical, the mindset around business and money as well, that you can participate in every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And there are almost 170 trainings that are recorded in that group now for you.
Wow, thank you. What great opportunity for us. And again, thank you for your willingness to be with us, and really truly appreciate it, especially in this time. Great advice and very positive. And I appreciate that too. Things that are actionable that we can do, that are going to make us feel good and are going to help us move forward, which we need to be moving forward.
For sure. Thank you again. And anytime I can add to the conversation, never hesitate to reach out. So thank you all.
Excellent. Everybody have a nice day, rest of your day, and stay safe.